podcast aimed at highlighting the human side of ingenuity. My name is Ken Tenser, CEO of Spiderworks, a leading business consultancy for mid-market organizations and entrepreneurs globally. With me today is Seema Sanghavi, founder of Cooks Who Feed, a social enterprise on a mission to fight hunger. Like this video if you enjoy our show and subscribe to our channel. Leave us a comment with who we should interview next. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the show. Seema, welcome to Say Hi to the Future.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Exciting.
So Seema, you're a big traveler. Where did that bug come from?
Oh my God. I think because I love food. So I don't usually go anywhere where I don't think the food's not going to be good. But I mean, I haven't found a place yet where I haven't enjoyed the food. So I think that's usually how I decide where I'm going is, okay, what kind of food do they eat? And does that sound exciting? Does that sound like something I want to try right now? And that's probably why I've done a lot of traveling, is just to try the different types of cuisines. Because a lot of times you don't, even though, we live in a place where you can get so much different diversity when it comes to food, sometimes unless you're there and try the local cuisine, you don't get to really try the authentic food, right?
Right. So where have you been? Tell us about some of the places and some of the food experiences then.
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to travel to different parts of South America, like Belize and Chile, and I've been to places in Africa, such as Kenya, Burundi, Rwanda, Tanzania. I lived in Europe for 7 years, so I used to live in Amsterdam. So while I was there, I feel like I traveled all through Europe. And my background's Indian, so that took me to India, and while there, been to Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, China. So,
wow.
Yeah, so it's my favorite thing to do is like eat and travel.
That's cool. So was this all sort of adventurous pleasure, travel for pleasure, or did you work in these places? What kept you there for so long?
So when I lived in Europe, I was there for work. So what I thought would just be like a year or 2 year stint ended up being 7.
Okay.
Didn't want to leave. Besides that, I would say for the most part, it's been mostly for pleasure.
It ultimately changed your life. A trip to India. Tell us about your trip to India and what the impact it had on you.
Yeah, I mean, even though my background's Indian, the first time I went to India was when I was 29. It was part of like doing a semester abroad when I was studying at Schulich. As soon as I went there, I felt a connection, but I also felt I just needed to give back. And then in 2016, I went back for a second time. I was lucky enough to go, a friend of mine was getting married. And while I was there, heard about this NGO that was hiring marginalized women and training them to be seamstresses. The goal obviously was to help get them out of poverty and kind of break the cycle of poverty in their families. So I was just really interested, and I found out it wasn't that far from where I was staying. So I'm like, I'm going to go and check it out and just see, what's going on, who are these women, and how is it changing their lives? And when I got there, just really blown away by how it's changed their lives. I got to talk to individual women and, talk to them about, well, what do you love about this job and how has it really made an impact in your life? And, besides the financial impact, the confidence, right? And just really changed their outlook on life and how, the future they saw for their children. And I really want to get involved. So before even knowing what I was going to do, I just said, well, I'm going to help you. I don't know how, but I am. And it started from there.
So you went to India. Where were you living at the time, though?
So I was living in Canada, in Toronto.
Okay, all right, because that was from Schulich. You had mentioned that. So you come back from India to Canada, to Schulich.
Yeah.
You've been bitten by this need to help.
Yeah.
How did that carry on? Because I mean, maybe this is a negative in me, I'm sorry. But, sometimes we're in situations, we're so affected, and we don't carry it back the way we would want to or expect to, but you obviously did.
Yeah. So, and just to clarify, Ken, so I first went to India in 2009. That's when I was studying.
Okay.
And then I came back to Canada, and I worked and actually moved to Amsterdam, and I came back to Canada, and then I went again in 2016. That's when I met the ladies. And I think, to answer your question, why it kind of stayed with me, because you're right, you see a lot of things, you say a lot of things, and then life goes on. I think the difference was because I got to talk to these women and really hear from them how it impacted their life, it really stayed with me. It wasn't something where I could just be like, oh, that was the past, like, you know, life goes on. I couldn't do it because I knew their names, I spoke to them. I felt like, okay, I promised, and I really wanted to get involved as well. And I think too, I was at a point where I knew, you know, I really felt like, okay, whatever I was doing at that point in my life was not the right thing. I wanted to do something where I was helping other people, helping people who didn't have opportunities. So I felt like I was meant to meet them, and I'm going to find a way to help them.
And so that, to my understanding, it morphed into Cooks Who Feed.
Yes.
And so tell us about that. Tell us about the transformation, and tell us obviously about Cooks Who Feed and the whole mandate there.
For sure. So Cooks Who Feed, we're a social enterprise. Our mission is to fight hunger, to unite food lovers to fight hunger. We ethically produce kitchen textiles, and they all have a give back model. So we started with our canvas aprons, and every apron provides 100 meals. And we do that by sharing the profits with charity partners around the globe that recover surplus food to reduce food waste, but also to provide meals. And everything is ethically made in India. In fact, I started working with the same NGO that I had met, several years ago. And we've grown the team together. So when I first met them, there was around 18 women, and now we have 72 women that are employed full time. It kind of happened organically, though. Like, it wasn't like I met them and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. It wasn't that at all. It took me almost a year to figure it out, actually. I started talking to a lot of other entrepreneurs, and I kept realizing one major thing that was, being said was, you have to do something that you're passionate about, because it's really hard to do this. And unless you have that passion, you're not going to stick with it. And I thought, well, the only thing really that I know that I'm passionate about is food and cooking. So I guess it has to be around food and cooking. And around the same time, it was when we started becoming more and more aware about food waste. I was reading articles about how here in Canada, over a third of the food we produce is being wasted. And when I started to dig a bit deeper, I found out about all these wonderful charities like Second Harvest here in Canada that recover surplus food to provide meals. I started learning about how hunger is not about a lack of food. It's just, we need to prevent food from getting into a landfill and get it to the hands of people who need it. I was out for a run one day, and I thought, I was thinking about food waste and hunger, and I thought, maybe I should support these charities. And that's kind of when I had that aha moment. Like, what if these ladies produced the kitchen textiles and they had a give back model? I quickly rang up the owner of the NGO and was chatting with her about it. And she was like, it's interesting because the women have always been in a situation where they've received charity. Right. And now they're at a point in their life where they can actually give to charity. And, then you have the full 360, right? And they love the idea. They love the idea of producing product that was actually helping those who are less fortunate than they are. So yeah, it just happened organically.
That's amazing. I think one of the incredible parts of it to hear is how the women, as you say, who started receiving charity have come full circle and are now able to give back, and not just a sense of confidence, but a sense of fulfillment. It must bring, it brings to anyone's life, I think, when you can give back. So just describe to me a little bit more the mechanism. You talk about food surplus, you talk about the aprons. Where's the chicken, where's the egg? Does it start with selling the aprons? How does the food surplus come in? Yeah, I'd love to hear more of that.
For sure. So you're right. It starts with the aprons, or it starts with our textiles. So every product that we sell, so like I said, our aprons, one apron is 100 meals. We have tea towels, linen napkins, and children's aprons as well. The children's aprons are also, one apron is 100 meals. And our kitchen linens are all one set equals 50 meals. And how it works with our charity partners. So we work with Second Harvest here in Canada. We have a charity partner in the US, and we have a charity partner in Asia. And they all recover surplus food to provide the meals. Wow. So what we have with each of our charity partners is an agreement saying, okay, every time we sell like an apron, you get a fixed price, right? Because they know how much it costs them to provide one meal. So we want to make sure the total is at least 100 meals for every apron sold. And then we do an audit every quarter to say, okay, we sold, X amount of aprons, so you know that you're getting this much from us. So every quarter we do an audit with them to say, okay, this is what our sales are, which translates to a donation of this size for you. And then we do that every quarter, just so there's, full transparency on both ends.
That's beautiful. Now, share with us some of the numbers, because they're staggering.
Yeah, so luckily, we've been in business now for almost 3 years. And to date, we've provided just under 600,000 meals, over 500,000 meals. My goal is to get to a point where we're doing at least 1 million meals per year. I think it's definitely doable. We've been, it's been up and down with COVID, but we've always grown year after year. So I'm quite confident that if not this year, for sure next year we'll hit that 1 million meal mark. And it's funny, Ken, because when I started this, and I'm sure you hear this all the time when you speak to entrepreneurs, like you start with an idea and you're like, this is what the business is going to be like, and then it morphs right into whatever it needs to be. When I started this, I thought, okay, we're just going to sell to end customers. We'll be, the goal was to be a full kitchen textile brand, slowly introduce different products and sell to end customers, sell to home cooks. Right when we started, we started getting interest from like some of the culinary schools asking us, hey, could you create aprons in our colors with our logo for our students? Restaurant groups. Our biggest partner right now is celebrity cruises. So when you take a celebrity cruise, they offer cooking classes. So you get one of our aprons and you take a class with them. We sell a lot to realtors and home builders, which I never thought made sense. I didn't get the connection until I started realizing, a lot of people are buying them as gifts, as like housewarming gifts. And then we thought, well, why don't we reach out to home builders and realtors who give housewarming gifts? It's evolved. I never thought we'd be selling to businesses, but I would say close to 2/3 of our business now comes from selling to businesses.
It's for me, it's an overwhelming story. I mean, when you talk about 3 years and you're already past 500,000 meals, you're on goal or on track for 1 million meals a year. You talk about speaking to entrepreneurs now. I've been an entrepreneur for decades, but the reason for me to go and for us at Spiderworks to build Say Hi to the Future is, I think there's entrepreneurs and there's a smaller group that really just break through and do the most unbelievable things against every single odd, and I think you're one of them. And I just it's, you talked about being passionate about the things you do, and I think all of us in our team at Spider are very passionate about Say Hi to the Future, because we get to meet people like you and speak to you, and it's an unbelievable pleasure. I don't usually go on like this, but man, 3 years and what you've accomplished from one chance happening in India and following through, just incredible.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been fun. And I'm sure, like, as an entrepreneur, definitely a lot of anxiety, right?
Yes.
Quitting the world, quitting my corporate job after spending many years in university. But I do feel like I'm on the right path. Definitely, I feel like as we provide more and more meals and hire more and more women, I'm more passionate about it. Now there's more at stake, and I don't want to drop the ball. It's been a really fun journey. At the same time, I'm learning a lot, doing things that I never thought I would ever do. In January, we're actually heading down to open up our own production facility, because working with our NGO obviously has helped us get off the ground and get started, but it's gotten to a point where I think we just need greater control over our own production. So I'm going to go and start our own production facility and hire women, and I have no idea what that means, but I'm like, we'll do it. We'll figure it out. We'll make a lot of mistakes. It's scary, but we'll figure it out.
Well, what's also really cool is, you talk about leaving a corporate job. If I'm not mistaken, you were at the Toronto Star, the newspaper, on the digital side. And then they've sort of another 360. They've come back and interviewed you for what you've achieved. How does that feel like?
It was actually quite comical, actually. I just thought it was quite funny how, things happen in life, right? How it's just, for me, it's all funny on how I met the ladies and I decided to start something. I worked here and now they're interviewing me. It's all how life is funny like that, right? How things happen.
So just switching gears a bit, I mean, this came from helping to employ and empower marginalized women. What can organizations do? I mean, you're doing one thing, which is great. And yes, getting involved and buying and having that corporate connection. But in general, what do you see? What's the challenge in helping marginalized women? I mean, whether it's internationally or right here at home.
Yeah, it's everywhere, right? For me, I think a big part of it is with women, like women as like it's what we see. And I'm a big believer in, if you see someone achieving something, if you know that it's possible, if you see it, then you know that you can probably do it as well. And I feel like for a lot of women, you know, growing up and they, you know, looking up and seeing what women around them are doing. If you're not surrounded by women who are succeeding and doing what they want to do and are passionate about what they do, then you don't know that exists, right? When I talked to those women in India, and they were like, no, we never knew that women could work and earn their own money. We never saw other girls going to school. They didn't know that existed in their reality. Like, they heard about it, but it's so far off because they don't know anyone in that world. Mm-hmm. But now that they see it, now all these women that work with us, if they have young daughters, they're going to school, right? Something that was unheard of a few years ago. So I feel like it's all what you know and what you see is what motivates you to go further. My parents immigrated to Canada years ago, over 50 years ago. You know, if I look at family that I have in India compared to how I was raised, you know, I saw my mom work. So I knew, okay, I didn't even question. Of course I'm going to go to school and I'm going to work. But I know for family, you know, in India that didn't see that, they have a different perception. So I feel like a big part of it is just, you have to know that world. You have to see it for yourself to really know it and understand what your potential is.
And so I guess one of the positive outtakes, again, is that NGO must be showcasing the women in India who have raised themselves up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's wonderful. And most of the women that they've now hired, it's all through word of mouth, right? So someone gets hired, they go home to their village, they let the other women know, yeah, I have a job, I'm getting paid fairly, it's a safe job. And then their friends want to join, their family want to join. And almost all the women there know each other in some way because of that, right? And so it's really just impacted those villages as a whole. So I think even that, like just lifting up all those families out of poverty, you know, their kids are going to school. So it's really changed life in the village for women and the young girls.
So where does this go to? Where does this lead to, Cooks Who Feed, for the next, say, 3 to 5 years?
I would love Cooks Who Feed to be a full kitchen textile brand, you know, that you see our products in other kitchen stores and kitchen departments and home departments. And it starts to really be an option for home cooks. As I've started this, it's really showed me more and more what the current industry has been like. And it's crazy when you think that, like, most foodies, like the foodie community, you know, it's all about sustainability. Everyone is well aware about food insecurity and food waste, you know, eating like farm to table, eating in season. It's all about being sustainable. But when you look at the brands that are well known in this, you know, that are well known and you know, sell their products to foodies, you know, you've got stores like Williams Sonoma, Crate and Barrel, all these brands, they're lacking. There's no giving back. There's no sustainability. Most of the products are still made using polyester. I don't know if they're fair trade. Probably a lot of them are not. You know, there's no focus on the same values that foodies share. So I started to recognize more and more that, you know, these values are not going anywhere within the foodie community. As unfortunately, the number of people going hungry is on the rise due to various things that's happened over the last few years. And I think the foodie community cares more about it than ever. But brands are not sharing those values, or at least they're not showing that they share those values and how they run their business. So I think there's definitely a need for people who are conscious cooks. They're looking for products that, you know, share their values and, you know, give back to what they believe in and operate in such a way that is meaningful and having impact, right? I think, and I don't know if you cook, Ken, but it's interesting to see things like a mixer used to be, under $100. Now you can buy a red one for $500, but that's where the whole like kitchen products seem to be going, as they become more luxury and the price going up as opposed to trying to give back. And I feel like there's an opportunity there to if a company is open to changing the way they run their business and to give back, then there's definitely an opportunity to resonate more with your customers.
Right. Well, I think it's an incredible goal. And to answer your question directly, Seema, one of my great gifts to my kids is that I don't cook.
That's fine.
It's not a good thing. Anyway, and as our time starts to run close to the end here very quickly, there's something that you wrote, or it's on your site, about creating a hunger-free world. There's no reason for people to be hungry in our world. We produce enough, we overproduce enough. How do we help create that goal?
Yeah, hunger is one of those problems. Like there's a solution, right? We waste so much food. It's like you said, we waste so much food. The amount of food that we waste could actually feed all the world's hungry 4 times over, according to the UN. So there is no lack of food. It's one of those problems, I think, that we really require everyone to be involved. And whether that's, just being mindful of your own food waste and not purchasing so much more than you need, whether it's, giving some of your time to your local food bank, whether that's, buying an apron, whatever that is for you, right? I think it starts with everyone being aware of the problem. And then I think more and more people need to be involved to solve this. It's such a huge problem that impacts every country, right? There's no country, I don't think, where there's not someone who's not food insecure. So I think it requires a lot of people to be involved. I think it's definitely doable. There has to be changes within government. There has to be changes, with the laws, the way we are with food waste as well. A lot of things have to change, but I definitely think it's definitely one of the problems that is doable. There is a way to fix it. It's just a lot of people have to get involved. There's no one solution, and not one person cannot solve this.
Absolutely. So, well, Seema Sanghavi, Cooks Who Feed, thank you so much for being on Say Hi to the Future. And in some tiny way, I'm hoping that a few more people hear and can become involved with what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Take care.